Hello. Do you want to come round the museum?
Show it to us, please.
Oh, sure. Well, we'll do a lightning tour. This basically is a large female whale, which is the largest ever caught in the Azores, and it's showing all the anatomy of the whale. And then we do details of the anatomy, like the skeleton. This is a skeleton made at the of a sperm whale made at the size of a human skeleton, and then we discuss the bones and the outside of the whale, what it shows in the form of little marks, and what it tells you and how it swims. And here we've got some ambergris, which of course everybody smells.
Wow.
It's quite extraordinary smell, and that's used in modern scents. And then over here we have the length of time that whales can hold their breath, which is very long. Normally big ones can hold their breath for 50 minutes. And this tells you how they do that, holding the breath, and the chemistry of it. And this tells you how deep they dive, because they dive very, very deep. They can dive over 1,000 metres, and probably up to 3,000 metres or 3 kilometres altogether. And that gives them lots of problems, because the density changes of the water, and the light disappears, and the water changes temperature, and that gives them all sorts of problems, which it shows you here how they solve. They solve the buoyancy of the problem by warming and cooling fat in the head, and so that's how they begin to deal with it. And I'll show you now downstairs a bit more about how they deal with these problems. This goes into a little bit more about the change in the light, and how they deal with it with eyes, the differences between a human eye and a whale eye, and the different light that they see and how they see it. And they use sound a lot, and this tells you how they use sound, because sound travels a long way under the sea, and so sound is better to use than sight. And they use sound for all sorts of things. The noise is very, very loud. You see, it's a lot more than a jet takeoff that a sperm whale makes under the water. And this shows you how the sound is made in the tip of the nose. This is a whale, and if it hits an object, it comes back to the lower jaw and to the ear, so it is able to see an effect with sound, like man's sonar. It has two waves of sound. The second one bouncing off the back of the head, which helps discriminate in some way. And of course the ear has to be very different. This is a whale's ear, and it has to be loose from the skull. It has air all round it, and big passages to keep that air there, whereas a human ear doesn't need that. And there's
Is this video of whales over here?
This is a video of whales later on, but at the moment it's just showing other things. And this gives the distribution of the whales. It's rather dark at the moment because the light's gone out, and the main behavioural features of the whales. They're very touchy animals. They like to touch one another all the time. This gives you just an illustration of emotions in an animal, and this is devoted to the brain, how intelligent we might think they are. This is the largest brain. It's the sperm whale brain, natural size. It's the largest brain in any mammal, and it's compared with the human brain here. And this is the front of a brain case of a whale, an actual front. And then this gives the life cycle of the whale and the growth. So I won't go into details about that, but we find the age of the whales from the teeth. The teeth, if they're sectioned, have little lines in, which are the equivalent to the sections of a tree.
Explain to you about the size of the head here.
Well, this is a baby, just 1 metre long, a fetus, and as it grows in the female, the head grows to this sort of size, but in the male, the head, which is mainly nose, grows much larger. And these are very nice pictures.
I can tell about the social groups.
The social, they're very close, particularly females. There are several females with several calves usually, and there's always a female looking after any calf that's left at the surface while they dive to feed. Then this is dealing with the food of the whale, which in the case of sperm whales we know about because beaks of squid are the main food, and the beaks of the squid are kept in the stomach, so you can get 18,000 in the stomach, and this tells you which squids and how big they grow, and so we know quite a lot about the squids that are from stomachs.
That's really your particular field.
That has been
is squid mainly.
Yes, my main field has been squid, and I found out about them from the predators because we're not very good at catching them. And the whole of this exhibit gives you information about the giant squid. This is one that the whales take, which we only find stranded usually, whereas these squids are the main food in this area. And squids in themselves are a very interesting story, and this tells something of the story with some information about whales and squids in this section. These are real squids which grow much bigger and are eaten by whales. And this is the eye of a fin whale actually. So we then go back to the whale part of it and the way whales were produced, and this are comparative whales species, the blue whale at the top, the sperm whale in white, and other whales that are found in this area. And this is the evolution of them, the evolution of the whales, including a pygmy sperm whale. This is a pygmy sperm whale, which is another genus. And,
do the pygmy sperm whales behave similar to the regular sperm whales in terms of social groups and things like that, or do we not?
They don't seem to. We don't know very much about them because they're very, very difficult to see at sea. But what's been seen suggests they're pretty solitary animals. And most of what we know about them is from strandings. But people are just beginning to spot them at sea now. They're solitary. They're strange little animals that we've a lot to learn about. One thing is they have a gland that lets out a sort of ink into the water, rather like squids, and we don't know what it's for and what it does. But the local whale watchers say that is red when it comes out, but it looks black when it's in the animal. And this section deals with the parasites and enemies of this actually represents the longest tapeworm that was found in the liver, which is 21 metres, and that was found in the Antarctic. but the various tapeworms and flukes, there's about 30 species of worms. And this takes me back to the Antarctic with the old factory ship and the way they were treated in the Antarctic. There were 22 sperm whales around this one vessel that was brought to the factory.
And you did research and worked in that industry back in those days?
Yes, in '55. Yes, and from it, of course, they got teeth for buttons actually at that time. But now they also took this oil from the nose, which is the spermaceti oil, very special oil, and was sought after very much. And various other things were taken, but now there isn't any justification really from the point of view of the products to take sperm whales. The killing of sperm whales in the Azores was rather small, really. This represents the catches for years, average catches over the different years through from 1920 to 1981, and you see that they barely reached 600 a year, and it averaged rather less than that. While in the Antarctic they took 5,000 over a period of 20 years, and they did the same in the North Pacific. I'm sorry. And now we just have strandings of whales to tell us more about them. So any more information on the anatomy and the food we have to get from strandings.
What's the world population of sperm whales now?
Well, we don't know. It's only very approximate. But there was an estimate that one estimate was 1.8 million sperm whales. That's probably too high, but it's probably above 1 million. But there's a lot of argument about that.
Should we see one of my favorite things out here?
Yeah. That must have been more than 3 minutes.
It was, but it's fascinating.
Sorry, I get hooked onto facts.
Okay, now can I show this whole thing? Let me see.
If you want a different picture, you could go onto that little...
Come to me here first and tell us what this is. Come up to me close. So, okay, and stand just back here just a little bit. Perfect. What's this?
This is a model of the largest sperm whale ever taken in the Azores. It's 18 meters long, and all the size of it was calculated from other whales that I extrapolated, that I measured. So it gives you an idea of the real size of sperm whales.
Should we go inside the sperm whale?
Sure. Let's go in. So you see, you can get an idea of the difficulty in understanding the structure, the internal structure of an animal like this.
And this is your home here in the Azores now.
Yes.
There's sperm whales right out there, right in front of us, probably?
Yes, not too far away, perhaps a couple of kilometres.
How long has the museum been open? What year did you begin?
We began last year. We opened in 2004, and it took us a lot of planning, but we sort of built it, including the building, really in about, I suppose, 6 months.
One last look at from the tail here and we'll be done. Thank you so much, Malcolm.
Okay, it's a pleasure.
It's great. Thank you. You have a lovely museum.
Thank you.